won't say anything bad about Brent Germany now.
Oh, we might start with this. So thank everybody for jumping in today and watching this video. I got one of my favorite clients and longtime clients, Mike Novak here. He was just talking smack about one of our other buddies, Brent Germany, which Brent talks a ton of smack about us. So it's fine. We can continue on talking about Brent, but Mike, tell me a little bit about you, your team, you and your wife's team, and who you are, what you do. And you know what? We can talk about our origin story too, if we want.
Yeah, don't get me started on Brent Germany. Anyways, my wife and I, we run a real estate team out of Washington State. We're just north of Seattle by about 40 minutes in an area called Snohomish County. So Everett's like the biggest city here. And, we've done consistently about $100 million a year in sales since 2018. We've kind of downsized our team a little bit over the last year and a half. We're down to 5, really elite top producing agents, but we've had as many as 20. And we've kind of like done the mega team thing, we've done the small team thing. We've done just the husband wife thing before as well. So, we've kind of like tried all these different models and found just what works best for us over the last 8 or 9 years. Real estate sales has been fantastic for us. It's opened up a lot of other synergistic opportunities, things like revenue share with real brokerage, courses, developing flips, building, like you and I were just talking about as well. Like there's all these other things that real estate has really unlocked the door for, which has been really fun.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think, did we start working with each other in 2017 maybe, or 16? I mean,
I feel like the first week I was in real estate, like I got my real estate license and somehow you and I think it was through Brent. I think you and I talked the first week I was into it because I had owned restaurants and I knew that pay-per-click was like where I wanted to be in real estate. And just was like in the forums and stuff because I was like big then, and everyone was like, Nick Kramer's the guy. Nick Kramer's the guy. I was like, well, I should reach out to this guy. And that's when we talked. Like it was literally first week I had my license, I hired you.
yeah. Yeah. And it's kind of funny. And then I think what solidified our relationship is I told you I wouldn't run your real estate or your restaurant
Yeah,
PPC.
yeah.
Cause
You
I'm
don't
like,
want to touch that.
I don't know what I'm doing there. And honestly, too often I see in Google ads where people do like, they don't know what they're doing and they burn other people's money. And I don't want to
Yeah.
ever do that. So that was kind of like you understanding that, hey, I am legit. I don't want to, I want to make you money, not cost you money. And, ever since we've been running stuff and it's changed. You know what I love about your systems and how you and Rachel work is you guys will try anything, right? And you don't jump from system to system. Like there's a lot of people out there that are tire kickers or, they see a squirrel and they jump in. Like you guys are very dedicated. And when I tell people like Mike's a different beast, not the size of Mike, because you're a beast in physically, but the fact that you're a beast in the sense that when you dive into something, you guys are all in and you try it and you test it and you run it. And then from there, if it works, it works. You track all your numbers. That's again, our favorite clients are the ones that track all their numbers instead of coming back and talking about feelings. You and I have never had a conversation about how you feel about your leads. It's all about, here's what I'm doing with my leads. This is what's making me money and this is not making me money. Turn this on, turn this up. Right. So like, that's the thing that I've always loved working with you guys is it's very matter of factly, like, and it's genuine. So my question to you would be, if you were to start from scratch again, would you change anything? Would you adjust stuff? What would be some of the stuff? What would be some of the stuff that you might adjust from what you started to where you're at now? You talked about the mega team. You talked about this and that. And I think I always tell people when people ask me like, who do I use for a coach or what do I do for systems? I say it's all about your personality and who you are. And I think you would,
Yeah.
I think you would agree with that.
Yeah. I mean, in retrospect, looking back, I think we made a lot of good decisions. We did hire the right coach. Damon Gatier, he was
Yep.
my best real estate coach I ever had, helped us literally triple our GCI in 12 months. I mean, just a game changer for us. So getting that right coach was pivotal. Really like, diving in with both feet into the lead sources we were going to create and go with. Like my perspective was to trade money for time. Like I didn't want to go sit open houses, door knock, circle dial. Those are all like examples of lead sources that you're giving up your time in exchange for working the source, right? And I didn't like that because I didn't think it would scale very well. Just from my business background, I thought, hey, let's pay to play and let's buy back our time and let's use scalable lead sources that are going to work really well. We couldn't afford, Zillow or Realtor.com at that time, but pay-per-click, what you were doing really was in that wheelhouse that I thought could convert really well. And a lot of agents, like they jump into pay-per-click and they jump back out, or they don't ever develop the skill set or the systems to do it really well. which to me just seemed like a big opportunity because that's like my wheelhouse is language patterns, sales skills, things like that, and then building out a system that consistently moves people from point A to point B. And so I knew that the weakness for other agents would be a strength for us, pay per click, you know. So
Yeah.
I would do that same thing again. Like my wife and I, you know, we closed 79 transactions our first year in real estate, and that's pretty uncommon, you know. And I think 71 of them were leads you generated,
That's
which is
wild.
in real estate. We didn't have like a sphere that was going to use us yet, you know. And so we knew like, hey, we need to go all in on this one thing, like
Yeah.
not like 10 things, just this one thing. And that was the right decision. You know, anything I would change, I probably wouldn't have built a big team fast. Like I would have taken it slow. You know, the two people that make the most money in this business are the super mega team leaders, like the Rob Dukanskis of the world that
Hmm.
sell like 15 homes a year. Like he does really well.
Yep.
Guys like that from that particular group, you know what I'm talking about.
Yep.
And then they're like the high producing single agents that have leverage. Those people also make a lot of money. And I like that model a lot better.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I agree with you. It's different strokes for different folks. You have to find that lane. You know, something I talk to people a lot about is when, and this is something I had a conversation last week and I referenced you on it. When you're talking about using, you know, doing pay per click and doing, you know, Google ads or even LSA, right? Local service ads for some, it's very important to make sure that you give credit where credit is due. You guys are really great at, if a lead closes 18 months after it come in, you go back to that month that it came through, right? And that's how you're tracking your stuff. Nobody does that. Everybody just says, "What have you done for me lately?" It feels like, you know, when we're working with clients, they're like, "Well, this month hasn't been good." But what's your, you know, going back and tracking that deeper? You guys are really good at tracking that. And I think you found the value in that pretty quickly. And I have to give you
Yeah.
kudos for that.
I mean, shout out to Sisu. You know, like we were like customer number 8 at Sisu when they founded their company back in 2019 and or whatever it was. And
Yeah.
we got them plugged into our system right away. I created a lot of SOPs on how we're going to use Sisu and just that dashboard where we track the lead coming in, you know, the outreach that's put into this lead. So calls and texts, tracking that, and then tracking the appointment set, the met, the signed, the pended, the closed, and then attributing the lead source and tracking the ROI to that lead source. Like that to us is kind of that compass on decision making. We're not going again off of feel, like you were saying. We're not saying like, hey,
Yeah.
it feels like Zillow is working. We're looking at data and then we're starting, stopping, or sustaining or scaling what is actually proven to work over an extended period of time. When I talk to people about pay per click, because people call me about it all the time, I say, unless you're prepared to do this for at least 9 months, don't even start because it takes that long to know what your ROI looks like. And the odds are that even if Nick or somebody else tees you up really great leads, you probably don't have the skills or the system yet to convert
Yep.
those leads at a high level. It take time to build those.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%. And you make my life easier because I can go back and say, "Hey, this is how Mike did it." Now that I'm doing this interview, I'm just gonna be like, "Watch this video from Mike. He's gonna tell you what to do."
Well, and I will say, like, you know, again, we track the data really closely and consistently over the last 9 years, you know, we've generated almost $8 million in GCI leads that you've generated for us, right? From driven
Mhm.
leads, which is awesome. That's huge ROI. Our average cost per close has been like in that $1,200 to $1,400 range, which is very profitable. During our average commission is about $20,000. Like that's a
Right.
great scale lead source. You can turn it up, you can turn it down. But I have found that over the period of that 9 years in any market, about 1% of these leads actually convert in the first 90 days, which is pretty good.
Yeah.
You know, next two
Profitable instantly.
yes, instantly profitable. And then the next 2.5% convert over the next 18 months. So it's like, how good is your follow-up game over that next 18 months to stay in touch with that person or to have a system that tells you when these leads are getting more serious, where they're kind of going from that information collection phase to a decision-making phase. Because everyone just starts by looking online, but
Yeah.
eventually they do pivot into buying, and you have to know when that's happening.
Yeah. Yeah. That's beautiful for you to say that, man. And it's always wild to hear those numbers because we really don't dig, you know, being an aw shucks farm kid from Iowa. We don't ask people how much they make. So,
Yeah.
and we have clients that are afraid that if they tell us what they're making, that we might change our rates, which have our rates changed in the time that we've worked with you? I don't think
No,
they have.
exact same. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's good to be able to give use cases and saying, yeah, this works. This, you know, this is what we say it is. And I think the biggest thing that people won't take away from this that they probably should is your systems. You guys are, you know, hardline bulldogs on run the systems. They, you know, stay the course, be the process. One of the systems that I think I love the most about what you run is, and this is going completely out in left field, but this is how I transition things in life with ADHD. Talk about your family 90-day on 90-day on thing that you got. Are you guys still doing that system where you
Oh yeah,
travel?
we accelerated it even more. Like as we found more success, obviously we take more time off.
Yep.
But we've had that 90-day rule in our personal lives for I don't know 12 or 13 years now. Like goes all the way back to restaurants, where every 90 days we go away for a certain amount of time and recharge, refocus, reconnect. Whether if it's my wife and I, or my wife and I and our kids, we kind of like alternate those trips. But we started off with just like 3-day weekends when we were just broke young kids,
Right.
and then as we've scaled wealth, now those are like, hey, we're taking 2 weeks off every 6 weeks kind of thing now.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm jealous of that to a point. Like that would freak me out. But I think it's
That work expands to fill a time that is given, so it makes you run in these like shorter sprints, right?
right.
If you know that you've got a deadline you're leaving for, then you bust out to get your work done before you go. And obviously with the lifestyle that real estate is,
Mm.
sometimes you're doing work while you're traveling. I mean, when I took Rachel on a date to Italy in June 24, and I sold 6 houses while I was there. I had the team over here to handle it, but I was still on the phone at 2 a.m. Italy time negotiating deals because that's what it takes.
Yeah. Always,
Kind of work life.
yeah. Always have to be on and rolling. If you were talking to somebody today, and I don't want to make this kind of a sales pitch, but you've been in a bunch of different models for the real estate world, right?
Yeah.
If I'm a new agent, if I'm getting licensed, what are some things I'm doing right away? Like what would you tell them? Hey, this is how you level up. This is how you get training properly. This is how you keep your eyes on what's important. And this is how you stay focused in this game.
To me, I mean, the first thing you do is hire a coach. The second thing and that coach should have been where you want to go personally. There shouldn't be someone that's just like telling you what to do and hasn't done it.
Yep.
That's a big kind of distinction, especially nowadays. Like you see on Instagram, all these coaches telling people what to do that have never actually done it themselves, which is ridiculous to me. So hire a coach that's been where you want to go. Figure out what your perfect weekly schedule is going to be and execute that schedule religiously. I mean, I'd get up at 3 a.m. for like literally 8 to 10 years at the same time and just like bust it out 7 days a week. And so it was a sacrifice that was made, but it was like that consistency of my schedule that created massive predictability to the outcomes. So the schedule becomes a really big piece of it as well. Figuring out what your couple lead sources are going to be and then mastering how you're going to actually implement those and execute them and being committed to it is huge. Spending a disproportionate amount of your time on sales conversations when you start is really important. When I started, I spent 8 a.m. to 12 p.m., 4 hours every single day just calling. Like texting wasn't what it was then. And I would just literally spend 4 hours a day calling because if I'm not meeting with people, what else am I going to do? Right.
Yep.
And you don't have like a past client list to go work. So you need to be outreaching to just shitloads of people. So a lot of your time, really anytime you're not meeting with people, is reaching out to people.
Yep. Yeah, I think there's some great points. I think the other thing that you've done really well is instead of going and spending thousands and thousands of dollars that you didn't have, as you built that business up, and then like you said, you supplemented money for your own time, right? So you would go out and put money into systems that would help you, because time is the most valuable thing that you can put a price on to a point, but you can't get back. So
Yeah.
I think you've been very effective in doing that and doing that at the right time. And sometimes, we've both been in that business where being entrepreneurs we'll go spend money on what we don't think is a shiny object that turns out to be a shiny object, and just you got to cut bait at certain time and get out. If it's not going to work, it's not going to work. So
I feel like AI and the lead conversion space was that for me last year. I spent a lot of money, like literally testing out how to use AI for lead conversion and didn't see one system that actually did it well.
Yeah. There are, I will say, to what I've seen from outside looking in, some people doing some AI systems, and we won't get into who's who and what's what. There's some AI systems out there that are starting to show their true value. I think a lot of people want AI to fix everything. And, for our business, and I don't know if you're using AI for AI, what we're doing now is helping it communicate between systems and the APIs and having it. It's the old adage of office space where it's like, what do you actually do? I hand the paper to the engineer so the customer doesn't have to. We're having AI do that for us now. There's more out there that AI does for us to a point, but at the same time, like we don't drink the Kool-Aid yet, right? And I would guess you'd say the
Yeah,
same thing.
I just haven't like I've looked at thousands of AI conversations, texting and calls,
Mhm.
and I just have not seen it pick up on the subtleties that a great sales converter will,
Oh, sure.
because sales is like all about the subtleties in language patterns and how people say things and using the right word choice and all those things. And AI, I just have not seen to that level yet. I'm sure it's going to get there eventually. I
Sure.
just don't think that there yet. So for us, AI, yet we use it, but we use it for an efficiency and task perspective, much
Yep.
like what you're talking about. It just makes us able to handle more, you know?
Yeah, and I think that's exactly right. Like you said, we've spent money finding that out the hard way, but at the same time, it's you have to jump into the deep end and learn how to swim at some point. But I agree with you. I think on the voice side and on the text side, there are subtleties that just aren't there on the sales set. We use AI. You'll love this, and I don't think, and then I think I've told a couple of people this, and I don't think this is out in the world, but we use voice AI for our inbound calls. So if you call our office, you're going to speak to a voice agent. She sounds all right. She's not going to do any sales stuff. She's just pointing you in the right direction instead of using an IVR system. We implemented
Yep.
that because we get 6 calls a day from Google about all of our accounts because we manage a couple hundred accounts. So when they say they're from Google, it hangs up on them. So AI works beautifully to cut out the those calls of the spammers calling you and the people trying to sell you stuff. We just set that up for if anybody's trying to sell us like vendor stuff or anything like that, it just hangs up the call. So there's beautiful, and then we get a ticket into our system saying Google just called. We hung up on him. Like perfect.
I need my cell phone. I get about 15 of those calls or texts a day.
Yeah, there is some value in that sense though. So that's pretty good. So I would guess 2026, what is something that you guys are what do you I guess going all in on? Are you just getting back to basics and just doubling up on that? You said your team's lean.
Yeah, we're just going back to as simple as possible. It's kind of funny, like our team now looks a lot like it did in 2018, like the early 2018 era, where we don't have, tons of bloated admin salaries or anything like that. We've got
Yep.
a full-time listing coordinator. We got a couple of VA supports. I have a full-time assistant. I have a full-time media guy, but that's kind of it, and as
Yep.
far as support goes, we're very conservative on salaries right now, just with how geared the market is. We've downsized our office space recently into a smaller office. So we're just trying to simplify things, I think is the way that I could best describe it. A lot of our business now comes from past clients. Like we've been doing this long enough where we have 1,600 or so past clients.
Mhm.
And so we've really placed systems that stay in touch with these people, like client events, market reports, home anniversary gifts, birthday gifts, all these just consistent outreach efforts that now, like, I'd say 95% of my business comes from past clients and referrals. Whereas like the agents in my team, they're still hitting, a lot of at bats with like Google and things like that.
Yep.
But we got rid of Zillow and Realtor. We were really big on those in 2019 through 2023. We probably hung on to it for too long, but we're spending as high as 50,000 a month between those two companies at one point.
Yep.
And it was generating a lot of closings for us, but it wasn't necessarily the most profitable closings. And it just got worse and worse and worse. As Zillow Flex has gotten bigger and more influential and taken over more market share, the Zillow like pay per account or pay per zip codes have really deteriorated.
Yeah. No, we've heard that a lot in the market too, and we've had to solve that problem for clients where, hey, we want to get rid of Zillow and Realtor. How do we do that? And can we spend that? And you've asked us that probably 10 times. You've reached out and said, can we spend this if we get rid of that? We can. We just want
Yeah.
to make sure we're doing it efficiently. Is all we want to do.
Yeah, no, I've literally said, Nick, I want to spend $20,000 a month on Google. How do we do it? He's like, well, let me go to the drawing board.
Yeah.
Like if I was going to spend that kind of money on any lead source right now, it would be on Google because I'm going to build my own database of people,
Yeah.
and with like Zillow and Realtor, we catch people so low down in the funnel that you're just a door opener. Like you don't bring enough value to the transaction.
Right.
So there's a lot of loyalty that is there. Yeah, I don't like that. I like to catch people when they're top of funnel. They're just starting to browse. That's awesome. I love that. I'm not turned off by that at all. I want to customize that search for them. And then I want to bring them lots of value through good systems like my video series and things like that. That way,
Yeah.
when they're ready to do something, I own their mind share and they're thinking about me the whole time. They're going to book that appointment with me.
That's a great point. And that reminds me, you were one of the first people. So, Mike, kudos to you and Rachel have been good at being in front of the camera, right? And you guys started doing that. I want to say you started doing that in 2019, maybe.
Yeah.
Started doing videos, and we started pushing videos out to remarketing, retargeting into like YouTube and stuff like that. And I remember we were doing it, and I told you, I think this is something that is going to be not the future, but this is going to be important. And I think this is going to be valuable because a lot of people were doing some video inside Facebook. We started doing it in YouTube. And then what we found was, I mean, you had somebody randomly walk into your office one day and sign a buyer's contract And they said they didn't have any questions because they watched all your videos. Isn't that how it went like that?
Well, that became the norm by like
Yeah.
2020,
Yeah.
where, by the time people got to my office, they knew everything about me. They'd watched all my videos through YouTube and Facebook through the retargeting that you had set up, or through like our pre appointment kind of indoctrination series.
Yeah.
That by the time they got there, I mean, they understood our process, they understood our social proof and our track record and what they were getting. And it was just like a layup appointment,
Yeah.
and that preconditioning of the appointment is so important.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's awesome. I think that's, and that's why you have a media person on staff. I think when you went through your staff of who you have, and don't get it twisted, you guys are getting back to basics and you're getting lean, but you're not getting lean because the times are super lean. You're getting lean because it's the smart thing to do. There's no reason to have that bloat because a lot of times you're going to end up having, and the same with my business. There's no reason for us to have people on staff that we may or may not use, or they do or don't or provide value. You're putting people in a high value point, and I think that's really important. Kind of what we teach people, and what we tell people is, you have a listing coordinator, you might even have a marketing coordinator, but those marketing people, their job is to market more than likely your listings. And as a traditional sense, what we're doing for you is we're filling in that gap where we're helping you with your media spend. This is where you spend your media. This is where we put your listings out. We're putting your listings on Facebook, on YouTube. You're able to show that to your clientele. Hey, your houses are going to be seen to thousands and thousands of people. We're going to get in front of everybody that's ever been on Zillow or Realtor. We're just going to do it through YouTube. And it's, I think that really helps you become lean, and that's something that you've embraced. We kind of told you to do that. I also love it when I have clients that listen to me. Like Brent in Germany doesn't listen to me enough, Mike, and I probably doesn't listen to you enough.
I digress. I won't go there.
But at the same time, he's a better golfer than me, so I'll say that on camera now, but probably won't be by the end of the year. We'll try.
It's got to
What
be good.
Right, right. What else? I mean, anything else big coming in? So you have your own coaching series of sorts, right? You tell us a little bit about that and how that came to be.
Yeah, I mean, we don't do one-on-one coaching.
Right.
We have too many things going on to do that. So
Yep.
we have like a number of courses that we sell to agents. It's basically taking our proven processes and systems, and then it's teaching people what those are through our courses, and then giving them the blueprint to implement and execute it in their business. And it's not necessarily all of the super advanced stuff that you and I are talking about, but it's
Yep.
the 101 level. Like we have a 58 module masterclass for buying and listing. That's basically step by step what we do from when the lead comes in to when we hand them the keys or take the keys.
Yeah.
And so that's like really how we've scaled coaching and impacting the real estate agent business. And trying to share with other people what's worked really well for us. Everyone wants our systems and processes. We just don't have the ability to coach people one on one to teach them all. So we've just done it through courses.
Yep. Awesome. So the question would be, what's the name of your course? Where can they find it? I'll put it on the link below on this YouTube interview. So give me that.
Yeah, I'll send you the link to it. It's just the buyer agent and listing agent masterclass. That's like our
Okay.
bread and butter one. We've got about 10 different courses, but I'll send you the link to the main one. We
Great.
also have our buyer and seller listing presentation and buyer guides. You can just download them and change out your logos and use exactly what we use.
Perfect. And then what's your guys' channel? What's your YouTube channel that you have for you and Rachel? Is it the Real Novaks, or what do we
Yeah, so mine is it's Meet the Novaks
Meet the
is our
Novaks? That's
YouTube
right.
for agents. Yep. We try to publish video per week on there. I've got a new one coming out later this week. So yeah, definitely follow on there. A lot of the playbook that you and I are talking about right now, I go super deep onto those because those are longer
Perfect.
form videos. So check
Perfect.
that
Yeah.
out.
And I'll put a link to all that stuff on there so they can find that. Um,
Yeah.
you know, Anything else you want to end with? I mean, this has been great. It's great to catch up with you as usual. Hopefully I'll see you in person this year.
Yeah, it'd be good. It's been a couple of years.
Right.
No, I'm just super grateful for everything you've done for us. You are not just a vendor of ours, but a trusted advisor and friend. Like I feel like I can call you and bounce ideas off of you, and you'll say, "Hey, Mike, that's the dumbest idea ever," or "Hey, I think that could be something good. Let's try that."
Right.
We'll say, "I don't know. Let's if you want to
Let's
roll the
find it
dice,
out.
let's go."
Yeah.
Let's go.
Yeah.
So you and I have really tested a lot of things. Some have worked, some have not worked, that have come up in my mind over the last 9 years. I just really appreciate how open-minded you've been to all of that, because I'll try just about anything to see if it'll work. And a lot of times it does, and a lot of times it doesn't.
No, and I think kudos to you guys for being open on that and being vulnerable as well, saying, "Hey, I don't know if this is going to work, or it might or might not." And I do, like, I tell people, like, I work in the real estate industry. I actually love a lot of the realtors that I work with, and I have close friends with it. Like you, that guy Brent, like I love seeing you guys in person. I get that big old bear hug. And then when I'm in a small airport, regional airport with you, you eat all the protein. So I don't get any, uh, when we're traveling, but it is always great to spend time with you guys and, get to watch your guys' travels and your growth. And it's been awesome to watch you guys really become kind of that thought leader in the industry. And then also just be successful and have the opportunity to keep building your dream house every few years and to travel the world with the family. Like you're kind of you know, I look up to you on that. I know I'm older than you, but I look up to you, man. So,
You are older than me.
but you look up to me physically, so shorter than me.
Very, very short.
All right, man. Well, again, I appreciate you coming on. And if anybody has any questions about what Mike does, again, we'll put the links in the video, and you guys will be able to get some more information off of what he does and how he does it. So, thanks again, man, and have a great day, dude.